What's up with the squad? Back with another video. I see the title's going out. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button for me, please. I ain't gonna talk too much. Let's get in the video.
Broader question to you, I think, is about this misinformation. Do you think this is a time to put falsehoods aside, like the idea that FEMA funds are being redirected to migrants, which is just not true?
Well, it is true that FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security have been spending billions of dollars on migrants. Now, I understand some people say they're separate funds, but we just passed a short-term spending bill. It's very common for the administration to come and ask for permission to move money between funds, especially to prepare for emergencies. And second, I would note that this administration seems to have no problem finding money when they want to spend it on their priorities. When they need hundreds of billions of dollars to pay off student loans for graduate students in gender studies programs, they somehow find it. When it's trying to get helicopters to deliver food and water and cellular service and life-saving medicine into these mountain valleys, they somehow can't seem to find the money.
It's been bogus fact check after bogus fact check. Ooh, FEMA hasn't redirected any funds. What Democrats are doing is what they always do. They're playing frickin' semantics. FEMA didn't misdirect funds. The funds are separate. Well, what does that tell you? That means that FEMA, whose job it is to respond in moments of crisis for Americans, has essentially diverted funds in a way of creating two accounts, one for Americans and one for illegal migrants, and now they're stuck in this position where they don't have the funds, they don't have the ability to properly respond after a disastrous hurricane. It's literally the same thing. Ooh, fact check. There's two different bank accounts. What kind of idiotic fact check is that? And at the end of the day, it ignores the actual core issue here. The issue is that the American people frankly feel like frickin' chopped liver. I mean, what do American taxpayers have to do to become the top priority of their own government? Do towns and counties in North Carolina and other places have to rename themselves to Little Israel or Little Ukraine to get some
Oh, and if y'all see, like, first of all, the damage that's done, you know, with these hurricanes, but just seeing how bad things are, you know, I'd seen that it was fights and like different things that's happening at gas stations and McDonald's and stuff like that, because, you know, people are without food and, you know, water and lights and stuff like that. So obviously, if you having all that, you know, damage to your home, you don't have lights, you don't have food because everything is getting damaged and stuff like that, you run out of food and you're going elsewhere with all this stress and stuff that's built up inside of you. Just imagine if somebody talk outside of their mouth or say something, you know, crazy, say something smart or look a certain way, anything like that. There's a bunch of tension with a lot of people. So when you have all of that's going on, it's a lot, you know, and you get no help. You haven't no type of help. You know, there's no help, and you look to have, you know, the help. That's why it's important for everybody to pay attention on who they're voting for and who they're looking at right now. If y'all see that Kamala isn't trying to help, y'all see that, you know, she's not trying to help with things, then why are people still like, I'm just confused. And even if people aren't even through that, just seeing what other people are going through. Just imagine if you know, in the future, something happens to you like that, and then, you know, people got to start paying attention to stuff.
Priority? Do people need to renounce their American citizenship, cross into Mexico, and then walk back into the nation as an illegal in order to get priority? It's unbelievable. Tom Cotton hit the nail on the freaking head. The people see what's going on. They see how something happens abroad, and immediately the government mobilizes. How many billions do you need, Zelensky? You know what? Actually, I'll do you even better, Mr. Volodymyr. I'll just give you a blank check, and why don't you fill out the zeros? You know, that's kind of the way that it feels, right? Then you have illegals whose first act in the nation is a crime, and they're given billions upon billions of dollars. And let's just call it what it is, free crap, and that money comes from FEMA. That's the core issue. Oh, fact check, let's debunk. No, it doesn't. Yes, it freaking does.
It's just categorically false. No, Biden did not take FEMA relief money to use on migrants. So FEMA regional administrators have been meeting with city officials on site to coordinate available federal support from FEMA and other federal agencies. Funding is also available through FEMA's emergency food and shelter program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants.
Oof, hard to argue with that one now, is it? People are sick of the lack of priority. And you got a lot of Democrats now trying to flip the script, saying there's been all kinds of bills that have been attempted to pass. The increased funding for FEMA, right? The answer to everything from Democrats is increased funding. And people keep saying, well, Republicans voted against it. But think about that for 2 seconds. I don't even necessarily know the context. I haven't researched it yet. I probably will after recording this video, but I'm just going to go out there on a limb and give you my prediction. I have a feeling that Republicans voted against that FEMA spending, or at least increased funding, probably because of all the money that FEMA is spending, further enabling this border crisis, this illegal migration crisis that's currently ongoing under this administration. And I'm assuming that Democrats are manipulating that in a way to present it as if Republicans voted against funding for hurricane victims. Give me a frickin' break. It's a priorities issue, and the people criticizing this administration are right to do so. They're not spreading misinformation. They're simply voicing their frustration, and legitimately so. It's obvious what's going on here, but of course exactly what you'd expect from the elitist press and elitist talking heads in the mainstream media: contempt for regular people voicing their frustration, and a continued widespread effort to defend the Democrat Party from any scrutiny. There is a clear and obvious double standard here. Instead of holding this administration to account, instead of being even a little bit interested or curious, their focus is just condemning regular people. Ooh, misinformation and conspiracy theorists, here we go again.
We're talking about
trying to go
the
to
President of the United
school.
States practically getting killed.
And
okay?
we all condemn that.
You're hitting 20 different topics.
The Democrats condemn that. But the lies, the floodgate of lies must
What lies?
stop.
Like that President Trump's going to monitor women's pregnancies?
Oh, well.
Oh, that's Project 2025. Has nothing to do with President Trump. But you know what? It's a good talking point for the Democrats, so they keep saying it. They lie all the time.
Oh, wow.
Again, the left acts as if they have the
That's all she can say is, oh, wow, because she knows it's true.
monopoly on the truth. They're more focused on politicizing everything and pointing the finger at the other side, saying you're a bunch of liars. But who the hell are they to point the finger at anybody on the issue of honesty? Holy frickin' moly. People are pissed. And you know what's the most frustrating part? Is that if all of this was happening under the Trump administration, you know exactly what they would be doing. I think Scott Jennings hit the nail on the head.
Literally lived through Hurricane Katrina in the Bush White House, and as I know you lived through it, Anderson, covering it. And I don't recall any restraint by Democrats or the national media coming after George W. Bush and FEMA and every other thing, and it was immediately politicized. And, you know, I well remember it. It's seared into my brain. And so now all these people are out here saying, we can't politicize this. We can't criticize this. Nothing can be said about Biden and Harris here or FEMA or anything else. And I just think, well, if a Republican were in the White House and the Republican president were at the beach and the vice president were raising money with celebrities, I guarantee you somebody would be mad about it.
That's why I love Scott Jennings, y'all. I'm being so for real. This when I told y'all just last night, and I said my dad always say, you know, son, I know that you knew the politics and this, that, and the other. Yeah, I just got into this a year ago. Surprisingly, my thing is common sense. That's common sense. Because if it was the other way around, I guarantee the way they doing Trump, I'm telling y'all, if it was the other way around, it'd have been something crazy.
If a Republican was in the White House and the Republican president was just chilling at the beach, meanwhile the vice president, who's currently running for president as a replacement incumbent, is schmoozing and boozing and fundraising with celebrities, could you imagine what the mainstream media would be saying? It would be constant outrage. Headline after headline, non-stop coverage. Imagine if Trump was diverting FEMA funds to build his border wall, and then they didn't have enough money to properly respond to a hurricane that, by the way, they knew was coming, and they should have been preparing for hurricane season months in advance. Well, imagine what the mainstream media would be saying about Trump. Meanwhile, all of this happened, and all we're seeing from the mainstream media is glowing reviews of just how great Kamala is. Anybody who scrutinizes or criticizes the response or FEMA's lack of priorities, well, you're just a lying conspiracy theorist MAGA chud. I mean, could you imagine if during a moment like this, Donald Trump was going around doing ridiculous photo shoots and pretending to work on the front line?
What really got me was the 16-year-old daughter came up and seen we take pads and put like 5 or 10 in a bag. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh my God, we got some pads. And it's a female. Mm-hmm. We know how valuable that is. And she said, Because
Everything this woman does is a photo op. And you know, talk about narcissism. They keep saying Donald Trump is a real narcissist. He makes everything about himself. You know, once again, it's projection. Look at the tweet that Kamala Harris just released. To all the volunteers who saw neighbors or strangers in need after Hurricane Helene and stepped in to help, thank you. You make our nation proud.
But she ain't doing nothing. That's crazy, bro. That is insane.
Posts pictures of herself. It's a campaign ad photo op. Not to mention talking about volunteers and strangers trying to help. She says this as her administration is currently embroiled in scandal for supposedly blocking independent search and rescue teams. You know, again, could you imagine if those were the reports and Trump was in power? Just imagine it. We get reports and literal behavior.
Y'all want to know something else? Does this remind you of anything? Does this remind you of anything? That's blocking independent people that's trying to help and everything else. Didn't this just happen with in Hawaii? And they wasn't gonna stop me. They wasn't gonna stop me. I had to look out. You know, I found that site, sending bread to the families. That you know, some families. Telling y'all, they did this exact. We was literally talking about this exact same thing. I remember it was truckloads of water, different clothes, everything. No, we can't have it. Man, I'm so tired of it, y'all. It's sad.
If you're coming from this administration and it's fake news, don't believe your lying eyes. But with Donald Trump, I mean, we lived 4 years of it. Even when it was fake news, even when it was clear disinformation, anonymous sources, they still ran with the story. They sucked up the oxygen in the room for 4 years straight with their absolute nonsense, and now they want to lecture you. What an absolute farce. And I guess just for the video to come full circle here, this is why they very scarcely bring people like Tom Cotton on their shows. Because their precious narrative is just oh so delicate. Anyway,
I'm telling y'all, people got to pay attention, and that's why it's my job to get out these videos as much as possible. When y'all see me and they, oh, Recklezz, why you put that in your title? Why you put this and why you put that? Oh, trust me, it's gonna draw the right people. Because they going to hear the truth. One way or another, they going to hear the truth. They gonna hear the truth, and they going to see, you know, what's really going on. Because there's a lot of people that's not paying attention. There's a lot of people that sit there and they vote because their parents voting for that person. They grew up like me. You know, both my parents Democrats. You know, a lot of my family, most of my family are Democrats. You know, and a lot of my family don't even talk to me because, you know. And it's all good, you know. I'm not gonna trip, you know. And I can only do so much, but you know, they'll soon understand. You know, they'll definitely soon understand. But I tell y'all, I appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody, and you know, it's my job to keep going and to spread out the truth, and I'm gonna continue to do that. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Make sure y'all go check out Liberal Hot Mind. Catch y'all next one.